Hey there. Thanks for joining the Jaw Live channel. We are working toward the 100 live guitar practice streams, and today marks day 79. So thank you all so much for joining this journey. I greatly do appreciate it. I hope that me being a beginner myself, maybe I can say something that helps another beginner, sparks a light bulb to go off in another beginner's head. So again, thank you all for joining. I do greatly appreciate that. And as you can tell by the thumbnail and the title, we'll be getting into a couple of different things today. Some power chords, some caged chords, continue, getting that understanding, getting the getting those bar chords in there for those caged chords and getting this pinky to work for you. So just want to keep repping those out. I've been, like I said, some power chords. And the whole time, though, we're also going to be working on our strumming. Before, I've always just had some random, crazy, just non-sequential, no pattern to it at all type of strums. Well, I found some common strumming patterns, so I'm going to try to work those in as well as I'm, playing around with these caged chords and these power chords. So, again, a lot going on, but let's go ahead and get into it. Also, if you're into guitar, music, things like that, it'd be much appreciated if you hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get into, let's start with some power chords. Let's start there. So I've noticed that most power chords, the way they, look written out, it typically looks like, A5, B5, C5, D5, E5, F5, G5. It's a letter and a 5. So is what I've been understanding. So it's the root and the fifth. So basically what you're taking is the first, if you want the A power chord, you take the A, and then when we were learning the major and minor chords, when we were learning the note makeup of those chords, remember an A chord is A, C sharp, and E. That C sharp is the third, and that E is the fifth. So it's always the root, third, and fifth when we're playing all of these, chord shapes. The C, root, third, and then fifth is the open G. We got the root, the third, and the B. So you always have the root, third, fifth, root, third, fifth, root, third, fifth. So if you think about it, when you're doing the power chord, you need, A5, for example. So you need the root, A, and you need the fifth. Well, you already know what the fifth is from learning the major and minor chords. So it's A, so it's A, C sharp, and E. So again, the C sharp is the third, E is the fifth. The last letter, the last note of the chords, of the chord shapes and things, that's your fifth. So it's E. So, okay, boom, here you go. So, 6th string, 5th fret, index finger plays that A note. Your ring finger comes down a whole step away on the 5th string. So, you're like this. 6th string, 5th string. 5th fret, 7th fret. A and E. Play both strings at the same time, not individually. Same time. And what's cool, it's always that shape. You're typically using your index finger and your ring finger. A and E, B and F sharp, C and G, D and A, G and D, F and C. That same shape. You're always getting these power chords. So at least in one of the positions, as with the other major and minor chords, same with the power chords. You can play these power chords in 2, 3, 4, sometimes ways. So it just depends, right? As long as you can find that root and that fifth, 2 strings at the same time, you're good to go. So let's rep out some of these. We'll go A. another way to play some of these power chords is just with one finger, because you need, let's see, here we go. Index finger, 5th string, 2nd fret, because this is an open E. The low E string is open, and then you have a B note. So if you have E and B, what is that? Well, the E chord takes E, G sharp, and B. So there's your root and your 5th, your E and your B. So you have your E, you have your B 2nd, boom, there's your power chord with just using one finger. Now you can't slide down this way per se and play them. See, some of them don't sound all that great, but you can go down this direction on the 2nd fret, staying on the 2nd fret. So now you have an open A with the index finger on the 2nd fret, 4th string. That's an E note. But if you have an open A and an E, well, A and E, root and 5th, that's your E, or that's your A. That's your A5 power chord, A5 power chord. E5 power chord, E5 power chord, A5 power chord, A5 power chord. Okay, and you move down another one. You have open D and an A. Okay, well that's D, right? D chord is D, F sharp, and A. So that's your root, 3rd and 5th. So if you have D as your root, A as your 5th, that's your D5 power chord. Here, if you go to the, using your middle finger, on the 3rd fret, 2nd string, you have your D, and up above that would be your open G. So you have G, D, that's your G power chord, G and D. G5 power chord, G5 power chord, open G and D, fretted G and fretted D, open G and fretted D. So, again, many ways to play things. Now you have your B and F sharp, B and F sharp, B and F sharp, B and F sharp. So going along strings 5 and 6 in this position, using your index and your ring finger, being a whole step apart or a tone apart, basically have a blank space that's a fret's not being used with this middle finger. It's elevated above the strings. So you have your F5, G5, A5, B5, C5, D5, E5, and repeat your F5 again. Or if you just put your index finger on the 2nd fret, 5th string, and you have the open chord below it, that would play your whatever the open chord is. That would be that power chord. So this is a open E, E5 power chord, open A5 power chord. Keep moving your finger down, your index finger down. Now you have your open D and A, D5 power chord. When you get down here to the second string, you have to use your middle finger instead, because it's that B string, so things kind of get shifted. But you have your G and your fretted D, so your D5. Then you have your open B and your E, F sharp, so you have your B5. So kind of going down the second frets mostly, third fret if it's the second string, but mostly everything's on the second fret here. You can also play some power chords. So two very common ways to play a lot of the power chords. So now we're just going to have some fun on there for a little while until it's time to transition into another part of the hour-long practice session. But let's get some of this power chord stuff repped in. So we're just going to play within those power chords and just kind of work on some various strumming techniques. I got a couple of them listed always in the pinned comment below my videos. You'll always see like a detailed description of written out like notes and things like that. Please always copy and paste those, steal those, take them and put them in your own Word document, your own Excel spreadsheet or what have you, and do those as your daily practices, weekly practices, whatever. Just trying to throw out ideas, throw out things that other beginners can kind of work on, and still have fun with this and not get so frustrated that they can't play music. So let's get through some bonding with this guitar. Let's get some fundamentals down, and then we'll start playing some music. It's just like in jiu-jitsu or whatever. You got to go in, you got to learn some fundamentals. You can't just go right in there and start rolling around with the black belts or the brown belts and think that you're gonna have any type of chance. You have to learn all of these fundamental techniques before you can get on stage and start playing with the other guitarists, right? So building blocks. Keep being patient with yourself, right? Nothing great happens overnight. It's cliche, but those sayings are out there for a reason. So keep sticking with it. All right, playing around with some power chords, being conscious of some strumming patterns, not just randomly just striking it, but finding some common strumming patterns, even if it's just all downstrokes. Let's just do that for a minute. All downstrokes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Typically, I've started understanding that people count and they count and, like 1 and, all the ands are upstrokes. But if I'm just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, that would be all downstrokes. If I count 1 and 2 and 3, 4, that would be down, up, down, up, down, down. So anytime you say and, there's an upstroke. If there's no ands and it's just a whole number, you go down, counting through 4s. So right now I'm just going to practice all downstrokes. All right, now we have just trying to match. So if I'm playing G5 here, I want to play G5 here. G5, 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 B5, 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 B5. B5, two different spots. So I was basically just running through and playing E5 in both spots. Then I went and played A5 in both spots. And then I went and played D5 in both spots. And then I went and played G5 in both spots. And then I went and played B5 in both spots. Just to kind of get familiar with, where they're at, getting that memory, pounded in. Just because you do it one time, two times doesn't mean it's, there forever. So if you don't use it, you lose it. So just trying to, practice it in, rep it in. All right, we're just going to keep on playing within the power chords. So remember, we know that you can use just one finger, mostly on the second frets here. If it's on the B string, you got to use the third fret, but mostly it's on the second fret on all the other strings. Or you can use this shape with your index finger and your ring finger with a whole step apart. And on the 6th and the 5th string, index on the 6th string, ring on the 5th, always. And as you slide in that same hand positioning, you're always playing a power chord, whether it's a G5, A5, C5. Well, that depends on where you're sliding, where you're at. But all the way up and down, same positioning, got your power chords. So again, let's just play around. Let's switch up the strumming pattern. Now I'm going to do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now there'll be some upstrokes. Real quick, I've just now noticed and started hearing kind of, I don't know, doesn't sound quite right. I don't know about you guys, but if you guys have any comments on this, please let me know down below. But I use a 1 millimeter, I don't know if you can really read that on the camera or not, but it says 1.0 mm at the very bottom. It's just the one I grabbed. There's no science to that or reasoning. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on what millimeter thickness picks you guys use down in the comments. I have, bunch of other ones in drawers and stuff laying around, but this is just the one I've always used. I'm wondering if I should use a lighter one on these power cords, or what's your guys' thoughts on that? But yeah, I'm gonna keep playing around with these power cords. But I noticed maybe if I had a little bit softer, like a 0.75 or something, that had a little bit more give, if it would sound better or worse. I'll have to play around with that off camera. I don't want to fish around and spend some time looking for picks right this second and waste valuable moments on live. But it's just something I thought about. So I'll have to play around with that. But let me know your thoughts about pick thickness down in the comments below, and which thickness is best for certain styles and things like that. I'd like to understand that. So anyways, back to some power chords. One and two and three and four and. By doing this, we're also practicing keeping our hands in these odd positions like this for extended periods of time. We're sliding up and down the strings. So just because the thumbnail or the title might say one thing, if you really think about it, we're practicing a lot in these hour-long sessions. So hopefully people can pick up on that and understand we're working on a lot here. And everything, might not seem like it's related, but things, as you start learning and understanding more, you start to see, oh, okay, I see how that is related. That was over my head for so many months, but I see what they're saying now. So I'm telling you, stick with it. If it's enjoyable, if it's a passion, if it's not fun at all, obviously, I can't really give that advice, but if you find some joy in it, if you find some pleasure in it, if you find some satisfaction in it, stick with it. Things will start coming together, I promise. All right, switch up the strumming pattern. Let's do a down, down, up, up, down. But it'll sound like down, down, up, down. All right, let's practice those power chords in this other position here on the second fret, like we talked about already. All right. All right, now we're going to transition into something a little bit different. Messed around with power chords, for the first half. Now I want to transition into the cage chords because there's different ways of playing the C chord. There's different ways of playing the D chord, with the bar and, utilizing, other fingers. So I want to rep those out. I know how to kind of do them, but I don't do them like super smoothly yet. So I want to continue getting that muscle memory in, getting that repetition in, building those things. So now we're going to transition into the cage chords. But I guess before we actually start playing, I just wanted to mention that if you haven't subscribed, you should seriously think about subscribing. So that way it's easier to find my content in the future, and you can come back and, see what video I'm on, see how good I got, within the 100 days, things like that. You can continue learning tips and exercises that I'm throwing out there for free, always in the pinned comment section below. Make sure you check that out. There's always some notes down there that all the fans can, have and see, so that way you understand kind of what I'm working on for the hour-long session that we're on for that day. So make sure you subscribe, so that way, again, it's easier to find my content later down the line. And then also comment below, so that way it has a community of like minds speaking about music, about, guitar, things like that. And then also hit the like button just to help a friend out. Might as well, right? You're already here, you're already watching this long, just hit the like button just to help a friend out. I'm just getting started with this YouTube stuff, just getting started with this guitar. So it'd be much appreciated if you hit the like button just to kind of continue telling YouTube that, hey, these are these videos out here that, could be beneficial to other beginners. So hit the like button. That would be much appreciated. Let's get back into the guitaring and working on the caged chords. So rather than playing everything up here in the first 3 frets, we have understood by watching the other cage videos in the past that there's other ways to play these chords. So that's what we're going to work on now. So first I'm going to start with the C shape. So see how our hand is doing that diagonal look, same as if it would be here. Get those in a line. Okay, now you have them in a line, but with a bar, right? So now you have to use this pinky. So things get a little bit different when you have to, use different fingers to make things happen. But I want to work on these so that way I have, just more tools in my tool belt. That way if I, need to play a C, or a, G, for example, well, I can come down here and I can also play a G. Again, as long as it's G, B's, and D's that are ringing out. If you ring out all of those individually, you'll hear that those are all G, B's, and D's. You'll also hear where you need to make some slight adjustments if something's not quite ringing out. But so that's what we're going to rep now. Just a bunch of these C shapes with the bar. Tapping the thigh. And it can be anywhere on the neck. It'll be a different note or chord. Like that's an A. Here's an F. But put it really anywhere. Let's just get some repetition in. G. Slap thigh. There's two different ways I like to do it. I like to take my hand, make the shape, strum, whatever pattern, take your hand off, slap your thigh, put that exact same shape back. You could do that same thing, but when you have a shape, you take your hand off, you put a different shape on. So this is a slap exercise that you could do. Or there's this sliding exercise where you don't take your hand off and slap your thigh. You keep your hand exactly where it's at with that shape. So that way you can slide up or slide down and get that feeling for what it's like to hold that position as you slide into, different frets, different position on the neck of the guitar. Because a lot of times you'll see guitarists who will be like shredding something or going, and they're just moving up or moving down the guitar, but their hand is actually staying in the exact same shape. So you need to be able to keep that shape and slide and move. And the frets are big here and they get smaller here. So your hand is kind of slightly opening and closing depending on, where you're trying to slide to. So got an itch on my back shoulder blade. Can't reach it. Muscle's too big. All right. Just kidding. All right, let's do the cage chords. Working on the C. C shape, not C chord. Just want to rep all these out so that way I can get, better at getting that hand placed quickly. Having the fingers up on the tips of the tippity tip tops. Not all laying over. All right, let's switch up into the A positioning, which is here. But if we want to bar it, I use my ring finger to bar 3 strings. Strings 2, 3, and 4 are barred with my ring finger, and strings 1 and 5 are barred with my index finger. So there's actually 2 bars here. And you basically, at first I didn't think it was going to be possible. I was like, how in the world? Because if I'm trying to use my ring finger to bar, it was accidentally laying down and muffling this high E string. So I couldn't get it to ring out. It just takes a little bit of adjustment. It didn't take me a whole lot of time, really. It didn't. But you fine tune that and you get the tip of the finger on string 4. And then you get right above that knuckle there that bends. You get that on string 2, and then that knuckle being bent allows it to kind of get out of the way of that high E string. So just listen, do one chord at a time so you can kind of hear where things are muffled and not sounding correct, and make that little adjustment. And eventually you'll get it. See, slightly muffled there. I didn't have it perfect. There we go. So just takes a little bit of time, but eventually you'll just kind of play it. Every now and then, sure, something will be muffled. Your fingers aren't 100% of the time going to be 100% where they need to be, right? So even professionals that get on stage and literally been doing this for, many, many years of their life, still, get the stage fright and under, heat of the moment, they muffle things. It happens. So just sometimes you play through it and you just keep on going. Sometimes you stop and you arpeggio and you kind of make those micro adjustments and you tune it, you tweak it right there on the spot. But, regardless, you keep getting these reps in, you'll get better. All right, now we'll switch to the G shape. This is the hardest one. So I don't practice this one a whole lot. I want to get really, really smooth and great at major and minor chords, power chords, some of these other cage chords, and my technique's just getting fine-tuned. I'll double back on these G shapes. I only rep them like 2 or 3 quick times because I'm finding that big stretch to get that bar, that shape just really kind of agitates the inside of my wrist here, side on where the thumb is. So I know what to do. You make the G shape with your other fingers rather than your index, middle, and ring. You make it with the middle, ring, and pinky. And then you bar, but you don't bar right next to that index finger. You bar a whole step away. So that big stretch there doesn't allow me to ring things out very properly. So half the things are muted. That was like 4 of 6. So just do these a couple times just to kind of get that feel for it, not to lose it. But I'll come back to this later. Fine tune that one. I'm going to hop over into the E rather. Okay, so you got your E major chord. You want to throw it on with the bar for your caged chords. Work on the sliding. Work on the slapping drill. E is not too bad. I think that's one of my favorites, easiest. I'd say E is pretty easy. A, second easiest. Then I'm not sure about C and D. They're harder in their own rights. I'd say D is a little bit easier just to get everything to ring out. But yeah, so that was the E. Okay, so let's do the D. All right, typically it'd be here with your index, middle, and ring. But now you want to take it anywhere else and use your middle, ring, and pinky. And then you got to use your index to do the bar. But rather than doing a bar, since strings 5 and 6 aren't used, and you only use strings 4, 3, 2, 1 on a D chord, it's the same with your caged D chord. So you don't use strings 5 and 6, but you hit 4, 3, 2, 1. And this bar here, it's again not a half step away right next to the index finger, but it's a whole step away. Because same with this D here, when you're playing that 4th string, it's an open. So if it's an open, fret 1 isn't being played, it's past that nut. So you have to go a whole step back. So same with when you do your caged Ds, you have to go a whole step back. Strings 4, 3, 2, 1, hit them all. Do the slap drill or the sliding around, either one. Both are important to kind of help bring back that hand shape that you're needing to make. Or sliding around, keeping that shape. Okay, let's try sliding around. All right, let's switch it up. So that's all the majors. Now let's make sure we rep the minors. So luckily, A minor and C minor are the same. So with the majors, we had to practice 5 different hand positions, hand shapes, if you will. With the minors, the C minor and the A minor are the same. Here's A minor. I slide a few frets, put a bar down. It's C minor. So let's practice that. A and C minor shape. Kind of like the E shape, but everything slides one string that direction. Some of them sound sloppy. Just play through them. All right, now let's play the, so we have C, A, we have G and E. So G minor and E minor look very, very similar. So you have your E minor. So it's these two. So if you want your G minor, you just come down here and put your bar. Middle finger's not doing anything. Let's make sure we get our G and E repped in. We can take it to anywhere, really. So, B minor, C minor, A minor, D minor, C minor, A minor, G minor, F minor. Same shape. It's a whole lot of chords. All right. And now lastly, in the word caged, for the caged chords, we did all the majors. We're working on the minors. We just did G, and E. Last letter of the word cage is obviously D. So D minor, however, looks like this. Strings 4, 3, 2, 1 only. Strings 5 and 6 are muted. Now to do that with a bar, though, you have to use your middle ring and pinky fingers. Weird to me. Not practice this one a whole lot, so this one's quite. I'd always get to the D minor and run out of time, so. Yeah, this one's a little different. D minor bar chord. D minor bar chord I need a little more time with, but I'm getting there. It's getting more familiar, rep by rep. Keep laying those bricks. Perfect. That'll be a wrap for today's hour-long practice session. That is actually day 79 in the books. So thank you so much to everybody who's joining my journey. I hope another beginner out there is learning something from what I'm saying. You know, light bulbs going off. You're learning something from my exercises that I leave in the pinned comment section below. And yeah, hopefully I'm just helping somebody out there. So I greatly appreciate it. If you could subscribe, That would mean a lot to me. That would be a favor back towards me. That would be a blessing to have people subscribing. Also, leave a comment of your own below. Let me know what you think of the video, of the sound, of the look, about guitar, about music, whatever. Leave a comment below. I appreciate seeing those. I want to get a community of like-minded speaking, so please leave a comment below. Also, hit the like button just to help a friend out. That's always greatly appreciated. Last but not least, there's probably some floating videos on the screen by now. You can click this one to see my entire catalog of the 100 days that I'm building, or this one here for the subsequent video in the series. I appreciate it if you watch those for the support. Until next time, I love you and peace out. I'll catch you in the next video. Can't wait to see you there. Peace. Take care.